The first muscle is the superficial pectoral, which is found just here. You have two parts. There's the descending part as well as the transverse part that you see underneath. The origin is from the first 2 or 3 sternobrae, and it expands all the way to the whole crest of the greater tubercle of the humerus. It's innervated by cranial pectorals, C7 and C8. The artery that supplies it is external thoracic artery. For the deep pectoral, which is found right here, the origin is the ventral part of the sternum, and it goes all the way to the xiphoid cartilage here, and its insertion is on the greater and lesser tubercles of the humerus. For the innervation, it's the caudal pectorals and C8 to T1, and the artery is lateral thoracic artery. So, this here was the brachiocephalicus muscles. There are 2 main parts to this muscle. The part right here is cladobrachialis, and here is cladocephalicus. Cladocephalicus has 2 parts, cervicalis and mastoideus, sorry. So for cladobrachialis, which is here, you have the origin, which is the clavicular intersection, and it inserts on the distal end of the cranial border of the humerus, which is found here. For the cladocephalicus, the cervicalis part, you have the origin, again, clavicular intersection, and it's going on the mid-dorsal raphe, the nuchal crest of the occipital bone. And for the mastoid process, again, clavicular intersection, mastoid process of the temporal bone, which is found right behind the ear. The innervation is accessory nerve as well as the ventral cervical nerves, and the artery that supplies it is superficial cervical artery from Ikisa. So for sternocephalicus, which is right here, there's 2 parts. There's the occipital part as well as the mastoid part. It originates from the first sternobra, which is also known as the manubrium. And the mastoid part inserts on the mastoid process, and the occipital part will insert on the occipital bone. The innervation is also accessory and the ventral branches of cervical nerves, and it is also supplied by superficial cervical artery. For sternohyoideus, its origin is on the first sternobra as well as the first costal cartilage. And what's happening?
I don't know.
Don't worry. It's a surprise for you, Julie.
Okay. And the insertion is on the basihyoid bone. It's innervated by the ventral branches of the cervical nerves, and again, the artery is a superficial cervical artery. Okay, sternothyroideus. It originates from the first costal cartilage. It inserts on the thyroid cartilage, and its innervation is ventral branches of cervical nerves, and the artery is superficial cervical artery. Am I going too fast? It's okay? Okay. So, next, Omotransversarieus. That's the one, basically, that spans from the wing of the atlas and goes all the way to the spine, distal spine of the scapula. It's also innervated by the accessory nerve, and the artery is superficial cervical artery as well. For the trapezius, my hair's in the way. In the trapezius, there's 2 parts.
Okay.
For the trapezius, there's the cervical part as well as the thoracic part. It originates from the median raphe of the neck and the supraspinous ligament from C3 to T9. And it inserts on the spine of the scapula that you can see right here. Its innervation, as you guys might recall, it's the accessory nerve, and the artery is also superficial cervical artery. So for rhomboideus,
Yes. Oh, it's live.
It's
it's what?
Live action.
I don't really see what I'm doing, but there's 3 parts. There's capitis, which is like the thin strap here, and below that is cervicis.
separated by a large aperneurotic tendon.
Yeah, exactly. And the thoracic part is the one right here that's basically behind the scapula here. So for capitis, the origin is the nuchal crest of the occipital bone. For cervicis is the median raphe of the neck. And for thoracis is the spinous processes of T1 to T7. They all insert on the dorsal border of the scapula here. They're innervated by the ventral branches of cervical and thoracic spinal nerves, and they are also supplied by superficial cervical artery. Latissimus dorsi, this muscle here, it originates from the thoracolumbar fascia, spinous processes of T7 to T13, L1 to L7, and the last 2 or 3 ribs. For the insertion is the teres major tubercle of the humerus, and the innervation is thoracodorsal C7, C8, T1, and its artery is thoracodorsal artery. For serratus ventralis, I'm just gonna move here because it's under there. Serratus ventralis, which is found right under there. There's 2 parts, the cervicis and the thoracis, which has been a little bit cut off, but thoracis is this part here, cervicis is the first part here. The cervicis originates from the transverse processes of vertebrae C3 to C7, and the thoracis is the ventral middle ribs 1 to 7 here. They all insert on here, the serrated face of the scapula. They are innervated by cervical branches and C7 nerve, and the artery is external thoracic artery. Okay, I'm going to use this one. I don't know if you guys want me to...
Stop it. Sorry.
Well, if I suppose.